Listen closely, because in the next 10 minutes, you're going to learn the one emotional trigger that's been quietly sabotaging your trades. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let me start with a question. Comment below and be honest. When was the last time you took a trade simply because you needed to be right? Not because it was part of your plan, not because your strategy signaled an entry, but because your ego whispered, "Just hit buy. You'll fix everything." If you felt that question in your chest, you're in the right place. You're here because you're smart. Smart enough to know you shouldn't be blowing accounts, chasing candles, or holding losers like lottery tickets. Yet, it happens anyway. And no, it's not because of your strategy. It's not the economy. It's not even the market. It's your mind. Your 10-minute mind. See, most traders spend hours studying charts, patterns, indicators, and backtests. But almost no one spends 10 quiet minutes controlling the psychological machine that actually pushes the buttons, your brain. So here's the promise. By the end of this chapter, you will understand a mental principle that even some professional traders overlook. Something they don't talk about publicly because they don't want to sound mystical or weak. But it's not mystical. It's psychology. And in the next few minutes, you're going to hear something most traders have never learned. Let's start with why you're here. Most traders don't fail because they lack skill. They fail because they lack emotional steadiness at the exact moments it matters most. Think about it. You don't lose your discipline in a 6-hour window. You lose it in one tiny window. The moment between the thought and the click. That is the 10-minute mind. And once you control that moment, you control everything. Every time you've said, "How did I screw this up again?" Every time you promised you'd stop revenge trading, then did it anyway. Every time your plan evaporated the moment the chart started moving. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't stupidity. It was simply unmanaged mental energy. A wildfire that needed 10 minutes of water before the match got lit. Let me show you a story most people never hear. Paul Tudor Jones, one of the greatest traders in history, wasn't known for his strategy first. He was known for his state of mind. He said, "The most important rule of trading is to play great defense, not great offense." But here's the part people forget. How do you play great defense? You calm the mind before the chaos hits. Jones would spend time centering himself before even glancing at a chart. He knew his mind was the real battleground, not the S&P, not the Dow, not the Forex chart, his mind. Ray Dalio, same story. Before building the most successful hedge fund on earth, he built a mental ritual, a way to slow the internal noise so he could actually hear logic. You see the pattern? The best traders don't walk into the market naked. They walk in with psychological armor. Armor they build in minutes, not hours. This audiobook is going to show you how to build that armor too. Simple, powerful, 10-minute tools for emotional neutrality, clean thinking, and steady discipline. Even when your heart rate spikes, your palms sweat, and your brain screams, "Fix the loss, fix it now." But first, I want you to ask yourself something. And don't answer it yet. I'll tell you the real answer at the end of this chapter. If your entire trading success depended on just 10 minutes of preparation, 10 minutes that could change how you think, feel, and act, why haven't you done it consistently? Just sit with that question while we explore something deeper. Every trader has two versions of themselves. The calm, logical version who journals, plans, tests strategies, and understands risk. And the chaotic version, the version who trades emotionally, breaks rules, chases price, and then pretends it'll never happen again. The difference between these two selves isn't personality, it's state. The calm trader appears when your mind is centered. The chaotic trader appears when your mind is flooded. And that's why 10 minutes matters. 10 minutes is enough time to shift your brain from emotional mode to rational mode, from instinct to intention, from panic to presence. That 10-minute shift is the secret the pros learned early, and the secret most retail traders never learn at all. Now, remember the question I asked? If 10 minutes could change everything, why don't traders do it? Here's the truth most people never admit. Because traders think they're stronger than their own biology. They think discipline is about willpower. They think mindset is about being tough. They think their brain won't betray them under pressure. But biology always wins when you don't prepare. Always. You don't fight your mind in the moment of decision. You prepare it before the moment arrives. That's what changes your trading. And that is why you're here. You're here because deep down, you know the market doesn't require a better strategy. It requires a better you. You're here because you've seen flashes of brilliance, those moments when you traded clean, calm, almost effortlessly, and you wonder why you can't do it every day. You're here because something inside you knows that trading isn't about charts. It's about state of mind, state of emotion, state of presence. And you're about to learn how to control that state in the simplest, most practical way possible. So before we move into the next chapter, let me give you the answer to the question, why don't traders spend 10 minutes preparing their mind? Because nobody ever taught them how. Nobody ever explained that 10 minutes can completely reshape their emotional reactions, sharpen their decisions, and build long-term consistency. But now, you know. And in the next chapter, I'm going to show you the exact 10-minute ritual used by some of the greatest traders in history. The same ritual that can lower your anxiety, reduce impulsive trading, and make you feel grounded before the first candle even forms. So if you're ready to build the psychological armor that 90% of traders never wear, keep listening.
Listen closely, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a 10-minute ritual that can lower your anxiety, calm your impulses, and give you a level of emotional neutrality most traders never experience. And at the end of this chapter, you'll hear something about Ray Dalio and Paul Tudor Jones that almost nobody talks about. Something that might change the way you prepare for the markets forever. Let's start with a question. Comment this below. What's the very first thing you do before you open your trading platform? Be honest. Do you breathe, or do you jump straight into charts like you're sprinting into a burning building? If you sprint, you're normal, but you're also vulnerable. See, most traders think the market hurts them, but the truth is, the market only hurts the unprepared mind. And that's why this chapter matters. If you're tired of clicking too fast, chasing price, or feeling like your emotions grab the steering wheel the moment you sit down, this is where it ends, right here, with the first 10 minutes. Let me give you a promise. If you do the ritual I'm about to teach you, every day for a week, your trading will feel different, cleaner, calmer, more intentional. It's the difference between walking into a storm blind and walking in with armor. Now let me show you where this ritual comes from. People always talk about Ray Dalio's principles, his radical transparency, his big hedge fund wins. But what they don't talk about is how seriously he prepared his mental state. Dalio meditated before trading not because it was trendy, but because he understood something most traders never learn. If your internal world is loud, your decisions become stupid. Paul Tudor Jones? Same thing. People admire his market calls, but they don't study his preparation. They don't realize that the reason he could survive insane volatility is because he never walked into the market emotionally naked. He built a mindset shield before he touched a single button. And now, you're going to learn how to build yours. Let's break down the 10-minute ritual. 10 minutes that can save you from hours of emotional chaos. The first 3 minutes are simple. You sit, back straight, hands loose, and you breathe in through your nose, slow, like you're filling a container. Then breathe out through your mouth, even slower. This isn't meditation, this is neurological reset. When your breathing slows, your fight or flight system powers down, your decision-making center activates, and without even realizing it, your mind shifts from reactive to receptive. This alone reduces impulsive trades by more than half, but we're not done. The next 3 minutes are what I call emotional scanning. You ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What emotion am I carrying from yesterday? 2. What emotion am I hoping to feel today? 3. Which emotion could sabotage me if I'm not careful? These 3 questions reveal the emotional bias you are about to project onto the chart. And trust me, we all project something. If yesterday hurt, you chase recovery. If yesterday was a win, you chase glory. If today feels boring, you chase excitement. This scanning step cuts through all of that. It prevents you from dragging yesterday's ghosts into today's trades. The next 3 minutes are where the magic happens. This is called the neutrality reset. You visualize the market doing exactly what you don't want it to do. You imagine price hitting your stop. You imagine missing a move. You imagine getting wicked out. And then you practice feeling nothing. This is what Paul Tudor Jones meant when he talked about training emotional detachment. Because the truth is, emotional neutrality isn't natural, it's trained. When you rehearse neutrality before the storm, you stay neutral during the storm. The final minute is intention. You say out loud or in your head, I will trade my plan. I will accept what the market gives, and I am not here to be right, I'm here to be disciplined. This aligns your mind with your identity, the identity of a prepared trader, not a gambler, not a chaser, a deliberate, grounded professional. So that's your ritual. 10 minutes. 3 minutes of breathing, 3 minutes of emotional scanning, 3 minutes of neutrality training, 1 minute of intention. But I promised you something earlier, something almost nobody hears about Dalio and Jones, something that explains why preparation matters so much. Both of these traders, giants, legends, masters, openly admitted that without mental control, they would have destroyed themselves. Not their strategy, not their portfolio, themselves. Dalio talked about his younger years when he was blinded by confidence and completely unaware of his emotional triggers. Jones openly said that the reason he survived the 1987 crash was because he spent more time preparing his mind than his trades. They didn't become great because they were fearless. They became great because they were aware. And now, here's the real question. If the greatest traders on earth needed mental rituals, why would you walk into the market without one? This is the part where you answer honestly to yourself. Do you lose trades because your strategy is bad, or because your state of mind collapses at the wrong moment? You already know the truth, and this ritual is how you fix it. Now, take a breath. Let it settle. Because in the next chapter, we go deeper. You'll learn how to catch your emotional triggers in real time, as they rise, the exact way Mark Douglas trained traders to stay calm while the chart moves against them. Pattern interruption, cognitive reframing, the moment of execution reset. If you thought the first 10 minutes prepare you, Chapter 3 will teach you how to stay steady when everything inside you wants to panic.
Listen closely, because in the next 10 minutes, you're going to learn how to stop the fear, FOMO, and greed at the exact second they start hijacking your trade. Not 5 seconds later, not after the loss, right in the moment. And at the end of this chapter, I'm going to tell you something Mark Douglas taught his traders behind closed doors. Something almost nobody shares publicly, but every serious trader deserves to hear. Before we dive in, let me ask you something real. Comment this below. When was the last time you closed a perfectly good trade early just because your heartbeat got louder than your strategy? Yeah, we've all been there. Today, that ends. Let me give you a promise. If you master the techniques in this chapter, you'll be able to stay calm while the market moves, not just before it. You'll stop sabotaging good entries. You'll stop closing too early. You'll stop freezing when you should act and acting when you should wait. This is the chapter that separates the emotional trader from the deliberate trader. Let's start with the truth, the one most traders never want to admit. Your emotions don't hit you randomly. They follow a pattern, a sequence. There's a trigger, a spike, a story your mind creates, an urge, then the action you regret. And the trick is cutting the sequence early. That's where pattern interruption comes in. Imagine this. You're in a trade. Price moves a little against you, and suddenly your brain fires off alarms like you're being chased by a grizzly. Your breath gets shallow, your legs tighten, your mind whispers, get out now, don't let this turn ugly. This is the moment where most traders fold, but not you, not after today. Pattern interruption is simple. You break the emotional sequence on purpose by changing your mental state instantly. There's a method Mark Douglas taught that almost nobody talks about. When he trained traders, he didn't tell them to be calm or trust the plan. He taught them to interrupt the emotional surge by shifting focus from fear to curiosity. Instead of, oh no, I'm losing, he trained them to ask, what is the market actually telling me right now? That question changes your biology. It forces your brain back into thinking mode. Fear shuts down the thinking brain. Curiosity turns it back on. Try it next time your stomach tightens. It works faster than you expect. Now, let's talk about cognitive reframing, the mental trick the pros use without even thinking. Every retail trader looks at a candle moving against them and says, this is bad, this is dangerous, this is a loss. But pros see the same candle and think, this is part of the process. Same chart, different meaning, different outcome. Let me show you a story that explains this perfectly. Back in Mark Douglas's early coaching years, he had a trader who constantly panicked when price pulled back, even when the trade was still valid. This guy wasn't dumb. He just had a catastrophic story in his head every time a red candle appeared. Mark told him something simple. You don't lose because the market moves. You lose because of the meaning you give the movement. That was the shift. Once the trader reframed every pullback as normal fluctuation, his anxiety dropped. He held trades longer. He trusted his stops. He stopped micromanaging every tick. Reframing makes you steady when others shake. Now, let's talk about the rule every pro applies without exception. The moment before execution rule. This rule saved more accounts than any strategy ever will. Right before you click buy or sell, in that tiny moment where your brain starts speeding up, you take one single slow breath and you ask yourself one question. Am I reacting or deciding? If you're reacting, you don't click. If you're deciding, you proceed. This rule stops revenge trades cold. It kills FOMO. It shuts down the emotional urge to fix the last trade. It's simple. It's fast. It's brutal on bad impulses. You'd be shocked how many terrible trades die in that one moment.
Let's put this together now. Real-time emotional control in 3 steps. 1. Interrupt the surge. Cut the fear by switching to curiosity. 2. Reframe the story. Give the price movement a meaning that doesn't destroy your discipline. 3. Check your intention. Ask whether you're reacting or deciding. This is the tool belt of a calm, deliberate trader. This is how you stay in the trade even when your emotions try to shake you out. This is how you move from fear-based behavior to strategic execution. Now, I told you there'd be something at the end of this chapter, something most traders never hear. During his training days, Mark Douglas told his students this: the market isn't your opponent. Your emotional reactions are. And then he said the part almost nobody quotes. When you feel fear, it's not a sign that the trade is wrong. It's a sign that you didn't prepare to feel it. Think about that. Your fear doesn't mean you're in danger. It means your emotional conditioning is out of sync with the environment. And once you understand that, your entire relationship with trading changes. So let me ask you a final question. If you could feel fear and still act with precision, how different would your trading look? Sit with that, because in the next chapter, we go into something even more powerful: risk mastery. You'll learn how to build a 10-minute pre-trade risk model: position sizing, RR logic, drawdown limits, daily loss ceilings, the stuff that turns amateurs into professionals. And you'll hear a short but brutal story from Jesse Livermore's disciplined phases, a story that proves risk isn't math, it's survival. Take a breath. Let it land. Chapter 4 begins when you're ready.
Here is your full narrated script for Chapter 5, crafted exactly in the tone, pacing, rhythm, and cinematic audiobook flow you described. If you're smart, you probably shouldn't even be here. And yet, you are. And that tells me one thing. You're done guessing. You're ready to think like a strategist, not a gambler. In the next few minutes, you'll learn a mental framework that most traders never hear in their entire lives: the secret of turning discipline into a long-term mathematical edge. This chapter might be the first time you finally understand why you keep making the same emotional mistakes and how to break them for good. Before we dive in, answer this in the comments. When was the last time you took a trade just because it felt right, even though your rules didn't agree? All right, let's shift your mind. Strategy. Most traders think they have it, but what they really have is hope, wrapped in screenshots. The real strategic mind works differently. It thinks in probabilities, not predictions. It uses data, not dopamine. It sees losses as part of the math, not part of their identity. And no one embodied this more than Ed Seykota, the trader who famously said, "Everybody gets what they want from the markets." Meaning, if you want drama more than returns, you'll create it. If you crave certainty, the market will punish you until you stop seeking it. And if you want consistency, well, that's when you start thinking strategically. Let's begin with a question that flips your entire mindset. What if trading wasn't about being right, but about managing outcomes? Probability says you can win with a 40% win rate. You can lose with an 80% win rate. And your emotions don't care about either. So how do you trade without letting fear, arrogance, or impatience hijack your decisions? You use statistics as your emotional shield. Here's a truth most traders never internalize. Your mind calms down the moment it sees numbers instead of narratives. Track your setups. Record your win rate. Document your average R. Review your volatility-adjusted drawdowns.
And suddenly, you're no longer feeling the market, you're measuring it. Here's a secret very few traders realize. Discovering your edge isn't about finding what wins the most, it's about finding what hurts you the least when you're wrong. That's the difference between an emotional trader and a strategic one. Let me give you a story. There's a moment in every trader's journey where they either grow up or blow up. Ed Seykota shared one such turning point. Early in his career, he found himself tightening stops, loosening stops, adding size randomly, all because he wanted to avoid feeling wrong. Then he reviewed 6 months of trades and realized something painful. Every time he followed his rules, he made money. Every time he adjusted because the market felt different, he lost. That's when he said the line that made him legendary. The trend is your friend until it bends. But what he really meant was, your discipline is your friend until you abandon it. So let's make this practical. Your strategic mind is built in 3 daily rituals. First, probabilistic thinking. Every setup gets the same question. What is the expected value of this trade? Not, do I like it? Not, does it look good? Expected value. Mathematical neutrality. No emotion, no story. Second, daily strategy review. 5 minutes, no more. What did I trade? Did I follow the rules? Did I self-sabotage? If you don't review your day, your brain will repeat it tomorrow. Third, logic over emotion. Imagine 2 traders. One says, I think it's going up. The other says, my system says we have a 42% probability with a 3.3R average return. Who wins in the long run? Not the confident one, the consistent one. Because consistency compounds. Not over days, not over weeks, over months. And that's where traders fail to see the magic. You don't notice your strategic mind grow. It's quiet. It's slow. It's unexciting. But 6 months later, you look back and think, that version of me was reckless. This version of me is a machine. Let's test your mind right now. If I told you a trader loses 60% of their trades, but each winner is 3R, are they profitable? Think. Do the math. 3 winners at 3R each equals 9R. 6 losers at -1R each equals -6R. Net plus 3R. Profitable, strategic, calm. Most traders would call that bad accuracy. Strategic minds call it edge. Here's the truth nobody tells you. If you build a system that works, but you lack the discipline to execute it, you don't have a system. You have a fantasy. But when your discipline becomes a habit, your habit becomes identity, and your identity becomes your edge. And that's exactly what happens in the next chapter, something you've probably never heard phrased the way you're about to hear it. Because discipline alone isn't enough. You need a reset ritual, a transformation blueprint, a 10-minute routine that rewires your emotional state before and after trading. It's the part most traders skip, and the part that makes or breaks a career. So take a breath, let your mind settle, because in the next chapter, you'll learn how to become unshakable.
If you're tired of blowing up great weeks with one stupid emotional decision, stay right here. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn a 10-minute reset routine that can make you calmer before you trade, neutral after you win or lose, and disciplined even when your brain wants to go full chaos mode. Most traders never learn this. Most traders don't even know it exists. But by the end of this chapter, you'll have a blueprint that can turn you into the kind of trader people call unshakable. Before we start, Answer this in the comments. When was the last time you made a trade just because you didn't want to feel like you were missing out? I want to see your honesty. All right, let's get real. You've learned mindset, you've learned risk management, you've learned how to think strategically. But none of that matters if you show up to the market mentally scrambled, emotionally charged, or spiritually tilted. Every elite trader, from Dabio to Sakota to Mark Douglas, had one thing in common: a reset ritual. A way to step into the trading day with clarity and step out of it with sanity. And that's what we're building right now. This is your 10-minute transformation blueprint. 10 minutes. No excuses, no drama, just a routine that turns your mind from reactive to composed, from scattered to focused, from human to professional. Let's begin with the pre-trade reset, the part that prevents 80% of your emotional mistakes before they even happen. First minute, breathe. Not fancy breath work, just slow in, slow out. You're telling your brain, we're not here to fight the market today, we're here to read it. Next 2 minutes, open your journal, digital or paper, and write one sentence. What's my emotional state right now? If you're tired, frustrated, hyped up, or rushing, the market will feed on you. You can't control price, but you can control presence. Minute 4 and 5. Review yesterday's trades. Not to judge, not to brag, simply to reconnect with reality. What did I follow? What did I skip? Where did discipline slip? Every mistake repeated is a lesson unpaid. Minute 6. This is the one that hits different. Say out loud, or in your head if you're shy, I don't need to win today. I need to execute. Because the moment you need to win, your brain hijacks your strategy. Minute 7 and 8, run through your playbook, your A setups, your no trade zones, your risk boundaries. This reduces random trades by 60%, proven by dozens of prop traders. Your brain does better when it's reminded of what not to touch. Minute 9. Visualize your exit before your entry. Great traders don't fall apart when things go wrong because they already rehearsed it. Livermore, in his disciplined phases, used to say he won most of his battles before he even placed the trade. And minute 10. Say the identity line. I'm the kind of trader who follows the plan. Identity beats motivation every time, because when you identify as the disciplined one, your actions follow automatically. That's your pre-trade routine. Simple, powerful, repeatable. But there's a second half, the part nobody teaches, the post-trade reset. This is where traders ruin themselves, not because they lose, but because they feel something about losing. Wins make us cocky, losses make us desperate. Break even makes us annoyed, but your edge doesn't care about your mood. Here's the secret you might never have heard before. The goal after a trade is not to feel good, it's to feel neutral. Dalio said it beautifully. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Most traders get the pain. Few add the reflection. So here's your post-trade neutralizer. Step 1. Write what happened in one line. Don't dramatize, don't sugarcoat, just facts. I followed the plan and lost. I broke the rules and won. Both matter. Step 2. Rate your discipline from 1 to 10. Not your P&L, your discipline. This is how you rewire your brain. You reward process, not outcome. Step 3. Ask yourself, what emotion did this trade trigger? If you can name it, you can tame it. Step 4. Walk away for 60 seconds. Literally, stand up, touch something else. Break the emotional circuit. Professional poker players do this, so do elite athletes. It resets your nervous system. Step 5. Return when you are steady. Not fast, steady. This is how you stop revenge trades. This is how you protect a good day from becoming a bad week. This is how you become unshakable. Let me tell you a truth that may sting a little bit. You don't lose because you're dumb. You lose because you're human.
But the 10-minute blueprint gives you something stronger than intelligence. It gives you stability. And stability is the real edge. The kind of edge that compounds month after month until one day you wake up and realize you don't tilt anymore. You don't chase, you don't panic, you don't brag. You just trade. Now let me ask you a question before we close this chapter. If you did this routine every day for 30 days, what kind of trader would you become? Think about it and drop your answer in the comments. Because in the next chapter, I'm going to give you the final push, the call to action that makes this entire audiobook come alive. A reminder of what to do next, how to stay consistent, how to continue your growth, and how to never lose the mindset you've built here. You're one mindset shift away from a new trading life. Let's make that shift together in the next chapter. If you're tired of blowing up great weeks with one stupid emotional decision, stay right here. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn a 10-minute reset routine that can make you calmer before you trade, neutral after you win or lose, and disciplined even when your brain wants to go full chaos mode. Most traders never learn this. Most traders don't even know it exists. But by the end of this chapter, you'll have a blueprint that can turn you into the kind of trader people call unshakable. Before we start, answer this in the comments. When was the last time you made a trade just because you didn't want to feel like you were missing out? I want to see your honesty. All right, let's get real. You've learned mindset. You've learned risk management. You've learned how to think strategically. But none of that matters if you show up to the market mentally scrambled, emotionally charged, or spiritually tilted. Every elite trader, from Dabio to Sakota to Mark Douglas, had one thing in common: a reset ritual. A way to step into the trading day with clarity and step out of it with sanity. And that's what we're building right now. This is your 10-minute transformation blueprint. 10 minutes. No excuses, no drama, just a routine that turns your mind from reactive to composed, from scattered to focused, from human to professional. Let's begin with the pre-trade reset, the part that prevents 80% of your emotional mistakes before they even happen. First minute, breathe. Not fancy breath work, just slow in, slow out. You're telling your brain, we're not here to fight the market today, we're here to read it. Next 2 minutes, open your journal, digital or paper, and write one sentence. What's my emotional state right now? If you're tired, frustrated, hyped up, or rushing, the market will feed on you. You can't control price, but you can control presence. Minute 4 and 5, review yesterday's trades, not to judge, not to brag, simply to reconnect with reality. What did I follow? What did I skip? Where did discipline slip? Every mistake repeated is a lesson unpaid. Minute 6. This is the one that hits different. Say out loud, or in your head if you're shy, I don't need to win today. I need to execute. Because the moment you need to win, your brain hijacks your strategy. Minute 7 and 8, run through your playbook, your A setups, your no trade zones, your risk boundaries. This reduces random trades by 60%, proven by dozens of prop traders. Your brain does better when it's reminded of what not to touch. Minute 9. Visualize your exit before your entry. Great traders don't fall apart when things go wrong because they already rehearsed it. Livermore, in his disciplined phases, used to say he won most of his battles before he even placed the trade. And minute 10. Say the identity line. I'm the kind of trader who follows the plan. Identity beats motivation every time, because when you identify as the disciplined one, your actions follow automatically. That's your pre-trade routine. Simple, powerful, repeatable. But there's a second half, the part nobody teaches, the post-trade reset. This is where traders ruin themselves, not because they lose, but because they feel something about losing. Wins make us cocky, losses make us desperate. Break even makes us annoyed. But your edge doesn't care about your mood.
Here's the secret you might never have heard before. The goal after a trade is not to feel good, it's to feel neutral. Dalio said it beautifully. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Most traders get the pain. Few add the reflection. So here's your post-trade neutralizer. Step 1. Write what happened in one line. Don't dramatize, don't sugarcoat, just facts. I followed the plan and lost. I broke the rules and won. Both matter. Step 2. Rate your discipline from 1 to 10. Not your P&L, your discipline. This is how you rewire your brain. You reward process, not outcome. Step 3. Ask yourself, what emotion did this trade trigger? If you can name it, you can tame it. Step 4. Walk away for 60 seconds. Literally, stand up, touch something else. Break the emotional circuit. Professional poker players do this, so do elite athletes. It resets your nervous system. Step 5. Return when you are steady. Not fast, steady. This is how you stop revenge trades. This is how you protect a good day from becoming a bad week. This is how you become unshakable. Let me tell you a truth that may sting a little bit. You don't lose because you're dumb. You lose because you're human. But the 10-minute blueprint gives you something stronger than intelligence. It gives you stability. And stability is the real edge. The kind of edge that compounds month after month until one day you wake up and realize you don't tilt anymore. You don't chase. You don't panic. You don't brag. You just trade. Now let me ask you a question before we close this chapter. If you did this routine every day for 30 days, what kind of trader would you become? Think about it and drop your answer in the comments. Because in the next chapter, I'm going to give you the final push, the call to action that makes this entire audiobook come alive. A reminder of what to do next, how to stay consistent, how to continue your growth, and how to never lose the mindset you've built here. You're one mindset shift away from a new trading life. Let's make that shift together in the next chapter.
If you're listening to this right now, you made it to the end. And that alone separates you from most traders. Most people quit halfway. Most drift when things get uncomfortable. But you didn't. You stayed. You listened. You absorbed. And now you're standing at the doorway of a completely different trading life. Let me give you a promise before we go any further. In these next few minutes, you'll understand exactly what to do next, so you never slip back into the old version of yourself. Because the biggest risk after a breakthrough is going back to autopilot. Before we lock this in, comment something powerful for the community. What changed for you during this audiobook? Your answer might be the exact message someone else needs to hear today. All right, let's bring it home. You've learned how to build calm before the storm. You've learned to recognize fear and greed the very second they show up. You've learned structure, risk logic, boundaries, discipline, the real foundations of professional trading. And you learned how to become unshakable, not by being emotionless, but by being emotionally aware. Now there's one final truth I want to give you. Something many traders never hear. Mindset is not something you learn. Mindset is something you maintain. Just like muscle. Just like conditioning. Just like discipline. Everything you learned here becomes worthless if you don't practice it. But everything you learned here becomes powerful if you give it just 10 minutes a day. So, this is your first call to action. Make the 10-minute routine a lifestyle. Not just when you feel motivated, not just after a loss. Every day. That's how calm becomes automatic.
That's how discipline becomes your identity. That's how confidence stops being a mood and becomes your baseline. Here's your second step. Journal your emotions. Briefly, simply, honestly. One line a day is enough. What emotion controlled me today? Because your emotional patterns will reveal your future mistakes long before your charts do. You can't track what you refuse to track. And most traders never track anything except price. Your third step. Treat every trade as data, not drama. This is where most traders fail. They win and their ego spikes. They lose and their identity collapses. But pros? Pros treat trades like weather patterns. They observe, they adjust, they move on. Ed Sakota said something legendary. Win or lose, every trader gets what they want out of the market. If you've been repeating the same mistakes, if you keep sabotaging yourself, then somewhere inside, chaos is more comfortable than consistency. And the moment you see that truth, you gain the power to break it. Here's your fourth step. Act like the trader you want to become before you actually become them. Identity drives action. Action drives results. Results shape your future. If you want to be a disciplined trader, start by acting disciplined even on days you don't feel like it. If you want consistency, behave consistently before the P&L improves. Success is built long before the numbers show it. And now, I want to say something you may have never heard, something that can change your entire relationship with the market. You're not trading the market. You're trading your mind. Price is neutral. Candles are neutral. The charts don't care if you win or lose. The only variable that changes is you. And after finishing this audiobook, you're no longer the same trader who started it. Now here's what I want you to do next. Today, not tomorrow. Hit subscribe. Not for the algorithm, but because you need consistent reminders to stay centered. You need tools that keep you from drifting back into old patterns. And that's what Psych Rich exists for. Next, commit to the 30-day routine. 10 minutes a day. That's it. That's how you rewire mind, mindset, and identity. Then choose one setup. Just one. And master it. Not 10, not 20. 1. Professional traders don't do everything. They do one thing with extreme discipline. And finally, keep growing. Not because you're weak, but because you're capable of more than you think, and because trading rewards the trader who is willing to evolve. Let me leave you with this. You are one mindset shift away from a completely new trading life. Maybe that shift happened in Chapter 1. Maybe in Chapter 4. Maybe right now. But it happened. And that means your old story is no longer in control. You have the blueprint. You have the discipline. You have the identity emerging from the work. Now go out there, trade with intention, and become the trader you were built to be.